After my husband passed away, I was overwhelmed with grief. When going through his belongings, I found that he had been using the pen name Gaoshan, and had written several affectionate and sentimental family letters that were published in the newspaper. I spent day and night reading old newspapers, searching for any signs that he loved me. It wasn't until I was determined to relive our school days that I accidentally discovered the confession wall from that year. Dear Echo, I can't stop you from pursuing a better future, but I will always keep you in my heart. If you can't let go, then let me fulfill your wish, Gaoshan. So, the one he had always loved was Echo, not Lumina. When I woke up from a dream, I was back in the year when I loved him the most passionately. This time, I chose to turn around and leave. Mom, qu'avez vous so wide session? Are you really going? I was packing my luggage neatly, while my son looked a bit worried. What's wrong? Are you afraid your mom is getting old and can't walk far? I carefully put that stack of old newspapers into the suitcase and adjusted my state to joke with my son. He naturally saw those things, and his eyes became a bit hesitant. These are Dad's belongings, right? Mom, what are you going to do with them? I was taken aback for a moment. And then I cherished those newspapers, stroking them again and again. These are the most precious things your dad left for me. Holding them makes me feel more at ease on the journey. Oblivion had been gone for over a month, and it was only a few days ago that I found these newspapers. I never expected that his affection for me would be so deep. We had supported each other for more than 50 years, and our days were as plain as water. I always thought he was not good at expressing himself, but I didn't expect that those obscure emotions had been transformed into words by him. In his letter, he said, "My dearest Q, the osmanthus tree on that small path probably has bloomed again. I want to walk along that path with you once more. With my heart full of you. I want to make up for my maimed body." The date was 2 months before his death. At that time, he had been tortured by cancer to the point of being unrecognizable. He needed a wheelchair to assist him with his daily outings. Under that osmanthus tree, he accepted my passionate and brave love, and it was also under that osmanthus tree that he kissed me for the first time. He wanted to revisit the old place, but he didn't want to trouble me. Now, I have to go there again on his behalf no matter what. There were some complex emotions in my son's eyes, and I interrupted his attempt to stop me. "You're about to get married too, so you should understand how I feel." "Mom, don't worry. I'm just going to take a look at your dad's university. I'll be back in a few days." In the end, my son didn't say anything. He just emphasized repeatedly, "Those newspapers are Dad's most important things. Mom, you have to bring them back safely." I smiled and nodded, agreeing to it. The moment the plane took off with a roar, I felt like a young girl just falling in love, traveling thousands of miles to the city where he once was. The school warmly welcomed alumni from all over the place, and I got in smoothly. I walked to that osmanthus tree again and unfolded that letter. Oblivion always wrote the recipient as Q, and my name is Lumina. He always loved to call me Lumina. The osmanthus flowers fell and covered the letter Q. Oblivion, oblivion. Are you saying hello to me? I walked slowly to the school's confession wall, looking at the love confessions on the wall, some melancholy and some passionate. I felt a bit dazed. After all these years, our former sound recording room had become the current confession wall. I suddenly also wanted to see those green and passionate love confessions we had left back then. In the school history room, I saw those young and passionate words that had been preserved in the sound recording room for a long time. Just when I was filled with nostalgia and a sour feeling, I suddenly saw a line of familiar handwriting. "Dear Echo, I can't stop you from pursuing a better future, but I will always keep you in my heart. If you can't let go, and let me fulfill your wish, Gaoshan." My smile froze. The little girl next to me had red eyes. When I was learning about the school before, I heard about this senior with the pen name Gaoshan. I heard that he was deeply in love with a senior named Echo. Because of the gap between their families, the two of them never expressed their feelings. Later, Echo's family wanted to send her abroad. She resisted because she couldn't bear to leave the senior. After that, the senior accepted someone who had been pursuing him for a long time, and then Echo gave up and went abroad. Later, the senior married someone he didn't love but always missed the senior. He published many articles similar to love confession family letters in newspapers using this pen name. Our generation really likes this story full of regret. The little girl looked at me with some excitement. Their age should be about the same as yours. Grandma. Do you know them? No. I don't know. The huge subversion of my perception made me feel dazed. I suddenly felt a bit timid and didn't dare to admit that I was the one who wasn't loved in this story. So Q was never Lumina. But Echo. How could I admit that my husband, with whom I had supported each other until old age, had someone else in his heart all his life? I thought those boiling feelings made public were the way out he left for me after his death. They were supposed to help me overcome the fear of death, making me stubbornly believe that our souls were still intertwined, and help me walk out of the huge pain caused by losing him. But I didn't expect that those were just his incomprehensible feelings. He hoped that those newspapers printed simultaneously overseas could let the other person on the other side of the ocean see his faint but profound yearning. I walked aimlessly in this city. And then my phone rang. It was my son calling. I suddenly understood his hesitation to speak. During the intervals when he repeatedly urged me to go back, I gently said, "Did you already know that your dad had someone else in his heart? So that's why he had a look of disapproval when I packed those old newspapers. So that's why there was a flash of sarcasm at the corner of his mouth when I proposed to relive the old days. Even the look in his eyes when he sent me off was not worry, but pity." My chattering son suddenly fell silent. It took him a long time to speak. "The person is already gone. What's the point of knowing all this? The hardships of two people's entire lives have fulfilled your happiness. Mom. You should be content. Then who will make up for the illusions in my whole life? No one ever asked them to separate. The way to fulfill one person shouldn't be to ruin another person's life. Even my own son, whom I raised with my own hands, couldn't empathize with the shock in my heart. The happiness I thought I had all collapsed into ruins at this moment. I didn't answer my son's call anymore. I stayed in this city for 3 days. On the last day, I got on a bus with an unknown destination. I asked myself, if I knew that I was Oblivion's second choice, would I still love him passionately? No, I wouldn't. My eyelids became heavier and heavier, accompanied by the intense pain in my heart. I closed my eyes warily. Lumina. Did you ask me out today for something? I suddenly opened my eyes and saw Oblivion. Oblivion at the age of 18. I had a heart attack and died on that bus heading to an unknown place. And then I was reborn into the summer of my 18th year. I quickly accepted this fact. When Oblivion walked towards me, I subconsciously took 2 steps back. Oblivion's smile froze. I clenched the affectionate letter in my hand and suppressed the dull pain in my heart. Every step he took forward, I took a step back. The familiar osmanthustry was still young, and I stepped on the fallen flowers and kept retreating. Oblivion was as elegant as ever. Lumina. What's wrong with you? Today, I had taken the initiative to ask Oblivion out. I would confess my love to him, and he would accept it as expected. Kiss me under the tree. Let Echo, who was hiding in the dark, see all this. And then she would be heartbroken and go far away across the ocean. And I would start a life that was both false and seemingly happy. In the days of not being loved, I would greedily enjoy the love that didn't belong to me. Even my child would regard me as the one who benefited from it and ignore my great pain. Lumina. Oblivion's voice seemed to be bewitching. But I was more awake than ever before. I used to love it when he called me Lumina the most. Oblivion's voice was very pleasant. And when he called Lumina, it contained 1,000 kinds of affection. But throughout his life, the person he truly loved wasn't me. I will definitely not repeat the mistakes of my previous life. Don't call me Lumina. I subconsciously stopped him. Oblivion's steps completely froze. Taking advantage of his moment of being stunned, I turned around and left. Oblivion's steps to hold me back were tripped up by Echo, who rushed out. You lied to me. You don't have anyone else at all. Oblivion. Stop deceiving yourself. Okay? Going abroad is great, but it's not great without you. Don't drive me away anymore. So, Oblivion already knew my feelings. This emotion had been under his control from the very beginning. In the end, Oblivion still didn't catch up. I only knew that Oblivion and Echo met at a literary competition. Echo's family was very wealthy, while he was just a young man from a small town. At that time, the social class division was much more obvious than it is decades later, and no one associated the two of them together. On the surface, they didn't have any behavior that crossed the line. So I, who was eagerly chasing after him, also ignored those subtle eye contacts. It felt great to return to my girlhood. So I didn't have time to explore these details. In this life, I just don't want to live in falsehood anymore. But I didn't expect that the first person who wouldn't let me go was Echo. In a public lecture, she sat beside me haughtily. Lumina, I heard that you asked Oblivion out yesterday. What was it about? I lowered my head to read a book and replied casually. It's nothing. Just some academic issues. Echo clearly didn't believe me. People in your department all know that you've been following Oblivion around. Is your intention really that simple? Don't think I don't know what's on your mind. Oblivion is mine. Do you understand? I raised my head and looked at her directly. Echo. I understand. No one wants to block your happiness. I might have had some admiration for classmate Oblivion before, but now I have completely lost those feelings. I will treat him as an ordinary classmate, so you can rest assured. I was about to say something more when Echo's eyes changed from being hostile to delighted. She stood up from her seat, passed by me, and fluttered towards the back like a butterfly. I subconsciously turned around, and it was Oblivion who had come. I didn't know how long he had been standing there. But obviously, he had heard what I said. There were indescribable emotions in his eyes when he looked at me. Facing Echo's initiative, he didn't show the joy I expected. Instead, he seemed a bit embarrassed. Echo, Hefo? As if to demonstrate. Took his hand and waved it in front of me. This wasn't enough. She directly pulled Oblivion onto the podium. The noisy classroom instantly fell silent, and everyone's eyes were focused on them. Apparently, Echo enjoyed this kind of attention. Classmates, I'd like to announce something. I'm in a relationship with classmate Oblivion. From now on, I hope you can take good care of him for me and don't let some people without eyes pounce on him. The quiet classroom boiled over again. Damn it. The daughter of the school board member is in a relationship with a poor guy? This Oblivion is talented, but it's not like he can fascinate people so much. Right? And they're going public like this? Who is Echo talking about? Is it Lumina? Everyone in our department knows that Lumina likes Oblivion. I didn't care about those rumors and stood up to take the lead in clapping. A perfect match. May you grow old together. After missing each other across 2 lifetimes. How can you not be together properly? For some reason, Oblivion's face suddenly darkened. He stiffly broke free from Echo's hand. Echo. Stop joking. I'm not worthy of you. Echo was stunned. How is that possible? You clearly said that I'm the person you love the most. And you'll work hard and make progress in the future to persuade my dad to agree to us being together. Every night after the lights were out, we would secretly take a walk on that path filled with osmanthus trees. You clearly. Enough. A stern voice came, interrupting Echo's words. Oh, today is the day when the school leaders come for an inspection. Echo's father happened to be among them. Echo was forcefully taken away. I don't know if it was an illusion, but Oblivion seemed to let out a sigh of relief. He adjusted his emotions and sat down in the seat next to me. I immediately packed up my books and stood up. Oblivion eagerly grabbed my hand. Lumina. Listen to my explanation. Hey. What are you doing pulling and tugging like this? Solace sauntered over, interrupting our standoff. He subtly pulled me behind him and faced Oblivion himself. Oblivion. You just announced your relationship and now you're pulling and tugging with our class monitor. What are you doing? Do you still want her to have a good reputation? Solace is our classmate. In the previous life, he never got married and traveled all over the place. When he came to the city where Oblivion and I were, he would invite us out for a small drink. He passed away at the age of 58. I heard that when the cruise ship was in the middle of the ocean, he jumped off without hesitation. No one knows why. At least I don't. Solace's niece informed me, and I attended his funeral. Now, seeing him as a young man, I feel quite emotional. Oblivion was a bit out of sorts today. He didn't pay attention to Solace's words and was eager to say something to me. I gently tugged at Solace's sleeve. Do you dare to skip class? He smiled beautifully. What's there to be afraid of? 7 Solace and I walked around the playground circle after circle, until the sun was setting. I suddenly looked at his profile illuminated by the setting sun. Solace. Have you ever thought about what you want to do after graduation? He shrugged and turned to smile at me. Why think so far ahead about the future? Solace was born into a family of scholars, and his name showed his parents' expectations for him. He has excellent grades, but his personality is rather carefree. Like an optimist. He doesn't have Oblivion's melancholy, nor the strictness of a big family. In the previous life, all the tears I shed on the way of chasing Oblivion were dried by his harmless jokes. I asked him if he liked me. He said, Lumina. What are you thinking? I don't like chasing after someone who's just a follower of others. Selfless dedication was something from many years ago. Aren't we classmates? Don't think too much. But, is it really like that? Then what was his niece's hesitation to speak when I attended his funeral? And what was the truth that his niece snatched and tore up the suicide note his angry nephew threw to me? Preventing me from learning? I seem to understand. Yet I'm despicably pretending to be stupid. I greedily managed my illusory happiness and ignored the mountains and rivers in his eyes but only showed up once a year. Suddenly, I smiled. You're right. Who knows what will happen in the future? After saying goodbye to Solace, I walked alone on the way back to the dormitory. Oblivion suddenly popped out from some corner and blocked my way. Lumina. What did you mean by those words today? I want to explain. I have no relationship with Echo at all. You know her family background. How can someone like me be worthy of being with her? I interrupted his words. Classmate Oblivion. I'm not used to others calling me so affectionately. Just call me Lumina. Also, hadin fulfilled my obsession. You know best in your heart whether you have a relationship with Echo or not. Love doesn't care about family background, but about the heart. Since you promised her a future, you should keep your promise. You have excellent grades and strong abilities. And your future is promising. One day, Echo's father will surely accept you. After saying that, I bypassed him and prepared to leave. Oblivion grabbed me. It's not like that. You clearly like me. Don't you? Why have you suddenly changed? I said I can explain. He was both self-deprecating and arrogant, wanting to give up Echo to fulfill his deep affection. And he used my whole life's happiness to pay tribute to their regrets. Oblivion. Why should I let you get what you want? 8 From then on, I deliberately avoided Oblivion. Echo also returned to school a week later. At the same time, the school's awards were announced. Oblivion, who had been receiving the scholarship sponsored by Echo's family every year, unexpectedly wasn't on the list this time. He stood in front of the bulletin board, holding back his emotions. Coincidentally, Echo couldn't understand his mood and stepped forward to link her arm with his. She said proudly, I made a bet with my dad. You will surely make a name for yourself in the future. Canceling your scholarship qualification is his first test for you. You will surely earn your next living expenses with your own abilities. Right? There was full certainty in her tone, full of trust in her lover. But how could a young lady who has never worried about her life experience the hardships of the world? She didn't know that the scholarship was now Oblivion's only hope. He still had a seriously ill mother at home. And the first thing he did after getting the scholarship was to send more than half of it back home. Before this, most of my manuscript fees were also used to subsidize him. His tightly clenched fists betrayed his inner feelings. But in the end, he still couldn't bear to lose his temper with his lover. He reluctantly loosened his fists, as if giving up on something, and nodded reluctantly. Yes, Katie, I will. Echo smiled even sweeter. I watched all this from a distance until Solace blocked my view. What are you doing? I smiled and shook the envelope in my hand. Nothing. My manuscript fee for this month just came in. I'll treat you to dinner. Let's go. In the alley, 2 bowls of steaming mutton soup noodles made Solace's face turn red. I took the chopsticks and handed them to him. And he naturally picked out all the scallions from my bowl. Seeing me looking straight at him, he touched his nose a little uneasily. Just like in the previous life. Every time he came to our city and wished Oblivion and me happiness. This person's habitual action of lying hadn't changed at all. Well, last time at the department dinner, I saw that you don't like scallions. It was just a casual thing. When I was chasing after others, there was also a gaze that followed me unhurriedly. I smiled and thanked him. And then started eating heartily. Seeing me like this, Solace let out a sigh of relief and happily slurped his noodles. After the meal, we walked along the road to digest our food. We happened to meet some classmates from our department. Hey, why are you here? Echo is treating us to a dinner today to celebrate her being with Oblivion. Let's go together? The girl who spoke was Echo's friend. And she had always looked down on me. There was a lot of malicious curiosity in her eyes. Before I could answer, Solace refused first. No. We're full. You guys go and have fun. As soon as he finished speaking, Echo, arm in arm with Oblivion, walked up to us. She tightened her hand on Oblivion's arm as if declaring her sovereignty. We're all classmates. Why refuse? I heard that you used to take good care of my boyfriend. This meal is a token of my gratitude. I glanced at Oblivion. And he awkwardly avoided my gaze. Solace wanted to refuse again. But I gently pressed his hand. Sure. Let's go together then. 9. The current prices aren't as outrageous as they will be in the future. But the people who can afford to eat here also have a rather superior family background. Echo generously ordered several expensive dishes. Looking very imposing. Solace and I were really full and were poking at the bottom of our bowls a bit bored, listening to their flattering words. Suddenly, the topic turned to me. Echo took out a stack of cash and pushed it in front of me on the rotating big round table. What do you mean by this? For some reason, Solace was in a fighting state all night. Before I could say anything, he got excited first. Echo covered her mouth and laughed. This is the manuscript fee that Lumina used to subsidize our Oblivion. Today, I'm helping him pay it back. You two are even now. There was a warning in her eyes. From now on, some people should stop using a little favor to demand repayment. It's like they've never seen a man before. There was so much superiority in her words that she didn't notice at all that Oblivion's face had turned red all the way to his ears. The other classmates didn't know that I had subsidized Oblivion. He, who valued his dignity more than anything, had the most embarrassing side of him uncovered without any scruples by the person he loved. So, without my sacrifice, can you really be happy? Do you know how to respect people? I stopped Solace from speaking out for justice and picked up that stack of money. It's clearly mine. Why shouldn't I take it? I waved it in front of him. Look. Now I have money to treat you to, mutton soup noodles again. It's a good thing. Why are you in such a hurry? Solace scratched his head, sat down, and grinned at me. I put away the money and looked towards them. Well, I might as well accept it since you insist. The manuscript fee isn't much anyway. I thought it would be a good thing to help out a classmate. It's about doing good deeds and accumulating virtue. Now it seems that good people really do get good rewards. At this point, Oblivion's eyes completely dimmed. The glimmer of a fluke expectation that he had just now completely collapsed. I knew what he was hoping for. He hoped that I would refuse, deny it, and not take the money. That way, he could righteously tell everyone that Echo's information was just hearsay. He, Oblivion, a promising young man from a poor family and an outstanding student in the Department of Literature, wouldn't rely on a woman's financial support. The gazes of the other classmates made him extremely embarrassed. Somehow, I felt as if I had let out a long-held grievance. Compared to the fact that he had deceived me for my entire life, what was a little embarrassment? When I went out to the restroom, Echo also came. She turned on the faucet beside me, gracefully extending her hand. Lumina, I hope you remember what you said. Don't have any more illusions about Oblivion. Why does this person keep saying the same things over and over again? Leslie turned off the water and tried to bypass her to leave. Suddenly, she hugged me and there was a scuffle. Before I could react, I fell backward. She sat on the ground, looking at me pitifully. Lumina, I just wanted to thank you. How could you say that I'm insulting you with money? And you even resorted to violence? You took the money so readily just now. Why are you doing this? I had read a lot of such pretentious and low-level tricks in the novels of my previous life. I turned around, and sure enough, Oblivion and everyone else were standing behind us. Oblivion rushed up eagerly and helped her up. Solace also stood by my side, and I signaled with my eyes that I was okay. Lumina, what did you do? Oblivion immediately started accusing me without even asking about the situation. I laughed. What you see with your eyes is what it is. What a joke. Why should I prove my innocence? Echo leaned weakly against his arms. It's okay. Maybe Lumina is feeling uncomfortable because we're together now. After all, who doesn't know that she used to follow you around like a little dog all day long? Solace. Your father and my father just had dinner yesterday. They said they want to introduce you to the eldest daughter of the Gu family. Are you sure you want to lower your status and hang out with a woman like this all day long? Solace rubbed his forehead and smiled brightly. You'd better worry about yourself. You're so shameless that you insist on being with a man who lives off a woman's manuscript fees. What's wrong with me making friends with an independent and self-reliant girl? Who wouldn't say that you have bad judgment while I have good taste? You're just idle all day long. After saying that, he directly pulled me away. Outside, just thinking about Echo's stunned expression and Oblivion's embarrassment, I wanted to laugh. Solace didn't understand why I was laughing, but when he saw me laugh, he also laughed, until I had laughed enough. I looked up and asked him, what if I really pushed Echo? What if I'm really the kind of woman who, out of unrequited love and helpless anger, does such things as she described? Solace stomped his foot and let out a sigh as if in helplessness. What else can we do? We'll just face them. With the two of us against the two of them, how could we possibly suffer a loss? His tone was teasing, but his eyes were sincere. So is this the kind of favoritism that doesn't care about right or wrong but only about one's true feelings? I used to think that Oblivion's inarticulateness was another way of expressing love. But now I understand that he just disdained to show his true feelings to me. Solace's behavior somehow made my heart skip a beat. He casually ruffled my hair and took the lead in walking forward. Today, I'm completely convinced. I ran up and asked, convinced of what? Convinced that classmate Lumina no longer wants to follow someone around. You're bringing up old wounds. Aren't you? Ouch. How dare I? Don't you want the mutton soup with noodles anymore? Solace started running, and I chased after him with a smile. All the way, hadn't so filled my head set, we didn't look back. Under the dormitory building, Oblivion was leaning against a big tree waiting for me. Solace subconsciously wanted to step forward, but I stopped him. You go first. There are some things that I always have to face on my own. He was silent for a moment and then nodded. After walking a few steps, he turned back to look at me. If it really doesn't work out, beat him up. I couldn't help but laugh. Got it. He turned and left, with one hand in his pocket and the other hand raised high, waving to say goodbye to me. I watched his back with a smile until I couldn't see him anymore. For the first time, Oblivion was completely ignored by me. He stared at me in an unfriendly tone. When did you get so close to Solace? What does it have to do with him? I was a bit impatient. If you have something to say, just say it. He hesitated for a long time before speaking. Regarding what happened today, I know you didn't do it. But Echo cares about her reputation. She's just a bit uncomfortable about the past. Just let it go for her. Solace's words were too harsh. And she's not happy. Can you, for the sake of our past relationship, not argue with her? Past relationship? Was he talking about the past relationship between him and me? Was it my selfless giving without caring about gains and losses? Or was it those manuscript fees that never really warmed my heart? Or was it every night when he moaned without real cause, calling me Lumina to relieve his longing for Ekon that he couldn't get? Oblivion. Don't be too hypocritical. Don't even deceive yourself. His face turned extremely ugly. You already know. Of course I know. That's why I want to stay away. After we had that open conversation that night, I rarely saw Oblivion again. I heard that now. Besides going to class, he goes out to do part-time jobs to support his studies. Letters urging for the payment of medical bills kept coming from his home, one after another. He had a strong sense of male chauvinism in his bones. He was a brilliant scholar who had flown out of a remote mountain village. How could he go and work part-time? In the past, with my subsidies and his scholarships, he could not only look good at school, but also send money back to his parents in the village. How nice that was. But now, those letters that came like snowflakes completely overwhelmed him. My relationship with Solace became even closer. Until his father appeared at the school. We were arguing about a bowl of mutton soup with noodles. Why did your bowl have more than mine yesterday? Is it possible that the boss thought you were so skinny with thin arms and legs that you couldn't finish it and it would be a waste? What era is this? Are you still practicing gender discrimination? I won't go to his place next time. Come on, having fulfilled my obsession. My dear. That place has the best taste. Don't be so stubborn. Solace's father laughed out loud. Which place is it? Is it really that delicious? Take me to try it. After finishing a bowl, Solace's father gracefully wiped his mouth. It's really good. Boss. This little girl likes it. Next time, don't skimp on the ingredients. Give her the same amount as the young man's portion. Solace had been holding back his laughter all the way. But when he heard this, he couldn't help but burst out laughing. I secretly gave him a glare, feeling a bit embarrassed. Solace's father noticed my embarrassment. I came here for a meeting and stopped by to see this kid. Little girl, I've heard about you. Now I understand the meaning of seeing is believing. You're a very interesting little girl. My wife makes mutton soup with noodles that's no worse than this place. I hope you'll have a chance to try it someday. Solace's father smiled kindly, which was different from what Echo's father looked like. He put down the money and winked at Solace. Solace seemed to be encouraged and nodded vigorously. Okay. You must feel uncomfortable with me here. I've seen you now. Little girl. I hope we'll have a chance to meet again next time. Solace and I quickly stood up and saw him out. After he walked away, I looked at Solace. Your father he. Solace was a bit nervous. What's wrong? He's really nice. I laughed and pulled him back into the store. Hurry up. I'm starving. I didn't dare to eat much when your father was here. When we turned around, we saw Oblivion wearing an apron and carrying a bowl of soup. He looked at me, and there was actually a trace of resentment in his eyes. I didn't understand where Oblivion's anger came from. I was just shaking off his hold. Rubbing my sore wrist, I just thought he was being rude. I've broken up with Echo. After holding it in for a long time, he finally said this dejectedly. He was still wearing his work clothes. And he looked greasy all over. He really looked like a defeated rooster. But what does this have to do with me? I didn't understand. Oblivion ruffled his hair in frustration. The pressure of being with her was really too much. She reminded me every day that if I didn't have a good future, her father wouldn't agree to us being together. I was really pushed to the limit by her. Just a few days ago, I just received my salary. And then it was her father's birthday. I was forced to perform well. And I didn't even send money back home. I'm really tired. Extremely tired. He looked at me with tenderness in his eyes. Lumina. Maybe we're the most suitable for each other. You see, the unforgettable yearning in my previous life was vulnerable in the face of reality. He had beautified the path he didn't choose. Whether it was me or Echo, he wouldn't be satisfied no matter who he chose. So, Oblivion is really selfish. Seeing that I was silent, he was eager to prove his point. I know my previous decision was a bit hasty. I'm really changing. I'm not the kind of person who depends on a woman. Look. I can also earn money. And I can be self-reliant with you. After all, we belong to the same world, don't we? I know you've always liked me. Can we get back together? Of course not. Since fate has given me a chance to start over. If I repeat the same mistakes, I can only blame myself. He kept talking to himself. Have you already reached the stage of meeting each other's parents with Solace? Do you know his background? Would people like us be able to catch their eyes? Lumina, a Gaoshan. I'm your example. Trust me. When Solace was mentioned, I finally spoke up. No. Oblivion. Solace is different from you. He is sincere and passionate. Just like I was in my previous life. We are the same kind of people. How could he be like oblivion? Don't impose your despicableness on others. Solace and I are just friends for now. What our relationship will be in the future is still uncertain. I will make a careful decision. Once I make a decision, I will be sincere and determined. I won't beautify anyone or any path that I haven't chosen. I will only wholeheartedly accept the other person's sincerity and reciprocate with the same sincerity. How could someone like Oblivion understand such feelings? I left after saying that, ignoring the confusion in his eyes. Solace came out from the shadows and walked beside me. What's wrong? Nothing. I just think what you said was really good. Oblivion stopped working part-time and instead hovered around me every day. He firmly believed that what I said was just out of anger. He also firmly believed that my 3 years of dedication wouldn't be easily withdrawn. My classmates all said that our positions had been reversed. The follower had become Oblivion. I paid no attention to these rumors and got along with Solace at a leisurely pace. None of us pierced that thin layer of paper. But under Oblivion's gaze day after day, we became increasingly rapport. Until he couldn't stand it anymore and blocked my way in front of Solace. Lumina. You've been throwing a tantrum for long enough. I've already apologized to you. What else do you want? Solace and I looked at each other. Really not wanting to play along with his woman show. He looked at me with a malicious look of giving up on himself. Aren't you just unhappy that I dated Iko? So you found Solace to make me angry. Right? Lumina. You've been silently giving for 3 years while following me. You won't give up on me. Maybe I had feelings for Echo before. But that was in the past. I also had some despicable thoughts. But you love me so much. And you can also have a happy life, can't you? What's so bad about being an optimistic fool? Why did you make me go through all this? Why did you pierce through my happiness? At the end of his words, a sense of desolation appeared in his eyes. Why did you make me see my own feelings clearly and then abandon me? Lumina, how can you be worthy of me? Suddenly, I understood why my son in the previous life had those thoughts. The bad roots in the bloodline can't be completely eradicated. Fortunately, having fulfilled Lee. In this life, I've cut off this possibility from the root. I hope no woman will ever experience such a magical and chaotic life like mine again. Solace couldn't stand it anymore and punched him in the face. I didn't stop him and even felt relieved. Suddenly, there was a scream from the crowd. Echo rushed over and stood in front of Oblivion. How dare you hit him? Echo's father came over angrily and pulled her. Disappointed in her behavior. Today we're here to go through the formalities. You're going abroad tomorrow. What are you still making a fuss about now? Echo covered her stomach and was in tears. Dad. I'm not going abroad. I'm already pregnant with Oblivion's child. At that time, getting pregnant before marriage was a big deal. Solace ignored the mess at the scene and directly pulled me away. We didn't know what happened next. It was not until the graduation day that Echo found me. Come on. I'm in a hurry to get my graduation certificate and find a job. Echo looked much more haggard and no longer had the arrogance she used to have. The baby is gone. My dad forced me to have an abortion. He thought it was embarrassing and took me to a small unlicensed clinic. I had a massive hemorrhage during the operation. And I was forced to have my uterus removed. I can never have a child again. This was a big deal in Echo's eyes. But instead, I thought it was not so bad. If she gave birth to a son like the one I had in my previous life, it might actually be better not to have a child. Moreover, a woman's value has never been reflected in childbearing. With her family background, it wouldn't be difficult for her to go abroad and start over. But I still didn't understand why she came to me. If you want to hold someone accountable, I suggest you go to Oblivion. This child of yours isn't mine. After all. Echo gave a bitter smile. Oblivion is gone. What? My dad was so angry that he found a group of thugs to teach him a lesson. One of them hit him too hard, and he died on the spot. I heard that when he was dying, he was still shouting that he was a university professor. You were his wife. And you had a son. Do you think he was beaten silly? My dad and that group of thugs were all arrested. I have nothing now. It was really tragic. Echo looked straight at me, clearly, having fulfilled my session. We were so good together. He also told me that he got close to you just to make me give up. Why? Why does it seem that he really fell in love with you? I quickly distanced myself from the matter. Suddenly, she seemed to go crazy and shattered the glass in front of her. You're lying. The night he spent with me, I invited him out in your name. I gave him a lot of alcohol. When he was aroused, he vaguely called out Lumina. Echo became more and more hysterical. Lumina. Or Echo. I can't tell the difference. But that night, I dressed up like you. And he was only willing to touch me while he was drunk. In my previous life, I couldn't tell the difference either. She cried for a long time and showed no sign of stopping. Until Solace at the next table impatiently took off his disguised hat. He rubbed his ears and walked towards me. How much longer do I have to listen? Do you still want your graduation certificate or not? Oh right. Getting the graduation certificate was the most important thing. Neither of us paid any more attention to Echo. Later, I heard that without any support, and having lost her spiritual pillar, she became somewhat crazy. Of course. That was all in the future. On the green train to Zhongcheng, a familiar face sat next to me. Didn't your dad ask you to go back to Chang? Solace had his usual playful smile. My sister is obedient enough for my family. My parents both approve of me going to Zhongcheng to give it a try. I gave him an annoyed look and pretended not to see the train ticket to Zhongcheng in his pocket yesterday. The whistle blew, and the wheels slowly started to roll. Looking at the scenery receding outside the window, I felt that in this life, everyone might have their own kind of happiness. Solace and I seem to be able to make up for our own regrets. In the future, we might be able to compete to see who is better at loving others. He carefully touched my arm. Your parents have been gone for many years. Right? So where are you going for the spring festival this year? My mom's mutton soup noodles are excellent. Do you want to give them a try? I thought it was worth a try. The end of the full text.